Hi, this is Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devils Friday. This is Game Day Live. Or should I say, Happy Devils New Year's Eve Friday. This is Game Day Live. I'm your host, Sam Wu, here with Vinny Parisi, a Pucks and Pitchforks blog, as the Devils are going to take on the Edmonton Oilers in about 45 minutes, as we're streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter Live, and Twitch on the Primetime Radio Network. We're here in the Primetime Radio virtual studios, a little different format than normal, given what's going on with COVID-19. I know you don't want to hear about it on December 31st, 2021, but better safe than sorry. But I hope those are going to the game. Go to Taj Lounge 973, 35 Edison Place, across the street from the Prudential Center. Because, Vinny, there has been breaking news early this morning, a coaching change, not the ones we've been talking about in the last 6 weeks. Vinny, hit me with the news. Hit me with the news.
Yeah, so for the second time in New Jersey Devils history, we're going to have Alain Nasreddine come in and coach a game after the coach gets not terminated this time around. He came in and replaced John Hines a couple years ago, but now he's going to be replacing Lindy Ruff as he enters COVID protocol. So for the second time, Alain Nasreddine will step in as I don't know if you want to call it an interim, because it's not an interim, but just like a standby coach. And Chris Taylor's going to be the assistant coach on the bench and handle the defensemen. So it's definitely an interesting thing. It's going to be interesting to see how he handles the roster. He knows the players well. He's obviously an assistant coach himself. A lot of people dislike this coaching staff as a whole. But, I mean, we're going to see what it's like with Nasreddine running the show for one day. It kind of came as a bit of a surprise that Lindy Ruff tested positive. But then again, everyone's testing positive right now. So, you just figured it was inevitable. Hopefully he's okay. And Nasreddine's going to get another shot.
Yeah, and it doesn't surprise me, actually, because Lindy Ruff has been barking orders in the last 3 or 4 days of this reset. So, you know what? He may be barking orders, but, these things are happening. Obviously, this is contagious, this new variant. But the Devils are, look, they should know what to do today. They're going up against a tough team, the Edmonton Oilers, with Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, all that. What's the scoop from Amanda Stein earlier today? How do you contain them, Vinny? How do you contain those two?
Yeah, well, according to Amanda, she tweeted out that Alain Nasreddine is going to rely heavily on Nico Hischier and Michael McLeod to try and contain both Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid. Obviously, I say that a little tongue-in-cheek because I think it's funny to even think about tweeting that, because it's like, well, yeah, those two guys are going to be relied on. They're the two best defensive centermen on the Devils. But at the same time, one does not contain both Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid. They are about as good of a 1-2 punch in the NHL since, I would say, Evgeny Malkin and Sidney Crosby were in their prime. I mean, we're talking 10 years. Like, I just think it's hard to contain those two. And the Oilers, they've kind of been cold lately. Things haven't been going all that great for them in terms of wins and losses. Of course, McDavid and Draisaitl will start putting up points. I just watched them play a couple nights ago. And, Draisaitl had a power play goal and McDavid assisted on a goal. So it's like these guys are collecting their points. I think Draisaitl's at 50. McDavid's, I don't even know exactly how many, but they're up there. And it's just crazy to me to even think that you're containing those guys. But the fact that they're struggling as a team, they're playing the best possible opponent right now. Because whenever someone seems to be struggling, they come in and play the Devils and they figure it out and then go on their merry way from there. So hopefully I'm wrong, but just the way the Devils play doesn't seem to excite me too much when it comes to having two complete superstars like that on the other side.
Breaking news. I'm going to tweet out in just a sec, but I just want the audience to have this knowledge. Breaking news. The Devils are going to need to score more goals than the Oilers if they're going to think about winning this game. Going to tweet it out after
You don't
the time,
say.
Sam Wu. But
I don't believe
honestly, Matt Freudenberger on the Facebook Live says, NFZ, somehow you have to keep them to the outside. Don't let them into the slot. And you know what? I'm all about the simplified game plan that the coaches have because these are young players. Too many different plays, schemes, all that kind of stuff. You have more chances of screwing it up. I think I've said this for the last year and a half, actually. You got to simplify it dumb it down to where you're only responsible for one thing. Let's start from there. One thing. And what's that one thing? Be in your position. Don't be out of your position. Start with that. And if you can accomplish that over time, then you add another thing, and all that. But, at the last game, I know it's the Buffalo Sabres. I know they're not very good. They're developing just like the Devils. It's a good start for that reset. I like to see progress from that. I don't want to see them regress. But when you have the Edmonton Oilers coming into town, Vinny, that's a big test right off the bat. So what I'm looking for is at least, bare minimum, 55 minutes of good Devils hockey. I know you're supposed to play 60. They played 52 good minutes. The first 7 minutes of that period, 8 minutes of that second period was horrible. The rest was acceptable to an extent. I want to see them do 55 solid Devils hockey minutes and hang with the Oilers. That's what I'm looking for.
The Edmonton Oilers are a good team. I wouldn't say they're a great team, but Connor McDavid might be the most skilled player in the history of the sport. And he plays in an era where it's incredibly hard to score. And if he played in Gretzky's era, he might have had 2,000 points himself. And I know era adjusted and all that has them in like a similar conversation. The Devils could play a really good game today, and McDavid makes an impact. Now, I will say this. One of the teams McDavid has not struggled against the most, but been the least productive against, has been the Devils. You might remember they were the last team he ever scored a goal against, besides the Oilers, of course, because he's not going to score a goal on his own team. But they were so close to getting through that one game without letting McDavid score again, and he tied it with less than a minute to go and the goalie pulled. So McDavid hasn't been the most productive against the Devils, but I mean, guys, it's Connor McDavid. And then he's got Leon Draisaitl. You contain McDavid maybe, and then that other guy is just right there ready to go. So it's a really hard team to contain. It's a really hard team to play against for that reason, because even though they're not that deep, two players can make such an impact as we've seen so far in this NHL season. I mean, it's as good of a duo as we've seen, like I said, since Crosby and Malkin. I would also say, like, they got Washington next game, and Kuznetsov and Backstrom down the middle is very similar, and then, of course, there's Ovechkin. So in back-to-back games, you're playing some of the greatest players who ever lived. So it's a good test for the Devils. It's a good way to try and get some good feeling, some good momentum going following a big win over Buffalo, who, as you mentioned, isn't all that.
Yeah, and something about McDavid that I love, one of the things I love about hockey, playing, I remember taking a lot of power skating lessons. I've taken figure skating lessons as well, to work on your edges and learn how to utilize the blade on your skates. And something about McDavid that I just find striking is when the guy skates, and I don't want to make this a McDavid love fest. This is about hockey. When he skates, his motor is not running on a lot of RPMs, yet he's one of the deceptively the fastest skater out on the ice, where you're looking at his legs, the way he uses edges so efficiently that his legs aren't even moving, but he's cruising right by everybody. It's so amazing. And I see a little bit of Dawson Mercer at times, but nobody is as good as Connor McDavid. And the one thing that may trip him up and slow him down, Edmonton ice and Western Canada ice is a lot faster than New York City metro area, New Jersey hard water ice. Maybe that'll slow him down, but he's that good that he can definitely overcome it. But it just gives the Devils just a little bit of a slight edge because, naturally the ice in the Northeast, in the New Jersey, New York, whatever area is not as fast as like Western Canadian ice.
Yeah, I agree with that. Everything you said about McDavid with his skating legs is just so spot on. It's like nothing I've ever seen before. It's like a mix of a figure skater and a power skater, and I think you made some great points. It's unbelievable because there are a lot of players that are about as fast as McDavid without the puck. I remember how fast Marian Gaborik was at one point. Michael Grabner was extremely fast at one point. I think even Kendall Coyne came close to McDavid in the time when she was part of the All-Star Skills competition. But when McDavid has the puck, he gets faster somehow. You're supposed to slow down a little bit when you get the puck on your stick, and he doesn't. And I think that's what makes it so hard to defend him, because he's the only player who lived that does not decrease his speed when he has the puck on his stick. And we remember how fast Taylor Hall was. He could join a rush with the best of them. Nathan McKinnon, extremely fast, even though he gallops when he skates, so it's not as pretty looking as McDavid. But the fact that when he has the puck on his stick, he doesn't slow down, it's incredibly hard to defend. So hopefully they're able to do so today. But you say you don't want to make this a McDavid love fest, but when you're playing the Edmonton Oilers, that's kind of what happens. I mean, he's the best player in the league. It's not really particularly close, in my opinion. And I don't know. I would love to see McDavid win the Stanley Cup one day, but we'll see what happens. I don't know. It's going to be really tough to watch the Devils play against him today. I have a feeling he's gonna be angry that things haven't been going well for his team lately.
I think the way to defend McDavid, and getting back to your point about his skating, it's almost like a jackrabbit with a carrot dangling in front of the rabbit. It just goes much faster, is more incentivized, I think, the best way to put it. But I think the best way, alluding to Amanda Stein's tweet, I think the best way to handle McDavid and Draisaitl is focus one player on McDavid the entire game. Don't care who it is. One player, that's all. That simplify the game plan. That's your job. Because McDavid's going to be McDavid. He's going to get his points no matter what. And then the rest of the team, focus on everybody else. Focus on everybody else. Because once McDavid gets some ice, some space, he can shoot, he can pass, he can do whatever, he can do the fancy stuff. McDavid's going to be you cannot. It's like Michael Jordan. He's going to get his points, but can you stop everybody else? And if that one person, I would like to say Mikey McLeod or Nico Hischier. I probably would say Nico Hischier. That's Nico's job. The entire. Don't forget about scoring, although it's nice. Your primary focus is to stop McDavid. Your 19 other guys on the team, your job is to stop everybody else. And that's it. Because once you start double teaming, triple teaming, the guy is so good, you're gonna leave a lot of players wide open for McDavid. You want to limit his options as much as possible and force him to beat you.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. And who knows, maybe Michael McLeod will have a little bit of extra jump in his step, knowing that I'm trying to look and see, Ryan McLeod is on the other side.
Yeah.
So it's the battle of the brothers here between the New Jersey Devils and the Edmonton Oilers. So it should be fun to see if he has some extra pep in his step, knowing that if he has a good game trying to shut down those two superstars over there in Edmonton, it could be a good game for him. And I think that opens up a lot of ice for Jack Hughes, too. We haven't mentioned him once since this podcast started. And if McDavid and Draisaitl are getting the matchup game because it's in New Jersey, so Alain Nasreddine is going to be able to match up, whenever there's a face-off, if he sees McDavid hop over the boards, here comes Nico. Okay, well, if Draisaitl's coming over the boards, here comes McLeod. So where does that leave Jack Hughes? It's not like Ryan Nugent-Hopkins plays center anymore. He plays wing with Draisaitl. So who's going to contain Jack Hughes from Edmonton's point of view? It's not like they have that shut-down centerman like the Devils do with Nico. And people can complain about Nico's offense all they want. He does a good job being a two-way player. So I'm looking for Jack Hughes to have a big game offensively as well. He's not quite Connor McDavid, but he could skate too. There's no doubt about it. I think Jack Hughes is going to have a big game here today.
I think so too. And you know what? I think Jack Hughes is hungry. Anytime you go against one of the best player in the world, at this point, you're talking about 2 first overall picks, one from 2015 and one from 2019 going head to head. You take a little bit of pride, and also 2017, Nico Hischier. You're talking. You have to have that pride and go against the best of the best if you want to be called the best. And you got to make plays. You've got to do the little things. And I want the Devils to continue the simplified game plan where put the puck on net. What do I mean by that? Because it sounds obvious. It sounds like what I was joking around before about scoring more goals than the other team to win. What I mean by that is quickness of the shot. I'm not looking for miles per hour. I'm not looking for deadly shot. I'm looking for no hesitation. It's on the tape of your stick. It's now suddenly on net. That quickness, because the Devils don't exactly have the beef up front. That's why they put Bastian on the power play. You've got to be quicker than the other team. Up front, the Devils forwards, with the exception of Mikey McLeod and Pavel Zacha, and Bastian, they don't really have much size up front. So you got to take advantage of your quickness. You got to take advantage of your speed going north-south, and also simplifying the game plan. Those breakout passes from the defensemen have to be crisp because you want speed through the neutral zone, because what we were finding in the 6-week slump, too many Hail Mary passes. They couldn't even complete even a simple 4-foot pass, and turnovers happen, and then suddenly you're back on your heels, on your skates, and the puck's in the net behind Mackenzie Blackwood or whoever is in net. So, again, keep it simple, stupid. That was part of the Wool Report. It's something that all coaches say in all sports, whether it's softball, baseball, football, whatever. Just execute your game plan. You just have one job to do. Do it. And it's up to the coaches to figure out which players, what job that they have to do. But the one thing that worked against Buffalo, and you saw it, 44 out of 24 shots, whatever, they outshot them. It's not the quality shots. It's how quickly you can get it to the goaltender, because rebounds happen. And if you use your quickness, you can get those goals, right in front of the goal crease.
Yeah, someone like Bastion or Zaka, I think they can be 20 goals scorer. Not Bastion necessarily 20 goals, but like they could score a fair amount of goals just by going to the front of the net. Like you said,
Yeah.
rebounds happen.
I
They're
think
going to be
Bastion
able to
can
use
get
that
20 goals,
size.
by the way. I think he can, and I'll tell you how this is how Bastion's going to get 20 goals. Remember, he's a second rounder, okay? He is not going to flash you with any of the goods like Jack Hughes, but he doesn't need to. He's got the size. That's his God given gift. He's got size, and he also has tenacity in front of that net. And if you remember Randy McKay from years ago with the New Jersey Devils, he came to the league using his fists to break into the NHL lineup. After many years of fighting, what we didn't realize is Randy McKay has one of the softest hands with those fists, with the puck, that he could score those garbage goals, is what they call them. It's really a derogatory term, but they're not really garbage goals. They're hard-working goals, where you position yourself in front of the net and you screen the goaltender, causing chaos, making the goaltender out of position for a split second. That can be the difference between winning and losing and scoring that goal. And I think Bastion has that ability. He just needs to prove himself to gain that playing time in those situations like the power play. So mark my words, if Bastion is consistent and he continues, if he just takes that game he had against Buffalo and does that kind of work, he's going to see a lot of playing time and he'll get those 20 goals. Trust me on that.
That would be honestly awesome to hear. If I were the Devils, I would make Bastion and Zaka watch 20 hours of Zach Parise tape. Because if he had Bastion size, instead of being in the Hall of Very Good, he'd go to the Hall of Fame. He'd probably have another 100 goals on his resume. And he's already got over 400. So, if you have the size like that, like you mentioned, why not? I hope you're right.
And, just a little hockey thing about, little coaching thing about Zach Parise, because I watched him, like you, for many years. And a lot of hockey coaches, especially in the American, a lot of American coaches, they teach their players to be invisible on the ice. And what does that mean, being invisible on the ice? You want to have a big presence, but you don't want to have the target on your back. Guys like Zach Parise that are smaller, when they have a hard nose in front of the net, there's a way and technique in hockey where they don't notice you're on the ice till it's too late. Because normally you don't want to go pound for pound with the 6'6" defenseman when you're 5'11" like Zach Parise. But you can play a game in front of the net where you're invisible, where they don't notice you're there, and then once the puck's there, boom, you've got your chance. That's another technique which I can spend a whole podcast on it, how you can be invisible on the ice. And again, it sounds ludicrous, but a lot of good players like Theo Fleury was one of them. He was a tough player, but remember how small he was. Martin St. Louis as well. Another player where he's all over the ice, but you don't know where he is not because of size. It's just how to avoid going head to head with those big defensemen. And that's a skill and technique that nobody really, talks about, but coaches do teach that, at a junior B level or whatever.
Yeah. I think someone like Sidney Crosby is like a extremely elite version of that. He always was good creating stuff down low. Yeah, exactly. I think Mike Rupp referred to Crosby and Parise on NHL Network before as superstar grinders. They have that like grinder mentality, but like they're supremely skilled. So I'm not saying Nathan Bastion or Zaka could be a superstar grinder, but they can be middle of tier grinders, if that makes sense.
Well, it's one of those things where, as a player, you need to learn how to protect yourself. Remember, Crosby did have a few concussion issues. People don't remember that.
Yes.
And
No,
now
it's
one
something
of
he
them
figured out.
was an accident. One of them was an accident. Purely, I forgot who. It was a big defenseman. I forgot his name. That accidentally hit him. He's I forgot his name. It was on the Bruins. But you know, so part of it, and this goes for all sports, especially in the NFL. Some players need to learn. Some players need to learn that you can't grind in and day out. One example, I'll make one hockey one example. Eric Lindros. He had he had the gift of being 6'5", 240 at age like 18, playing major juniors in Quebec, and he could play that physical game night in and night out because he just was towering all those young players. As soon as he got to the NHL, eventually it caught up to him. And, even before the Scott Stevens infamous hit, he was having concussion issues. And some players, like Crosby, learn how to play the game without sacrificing the wear and tear, night in and night out. And they know how to survive that. So anyway, I just wanted to just say that there is a way. And one example, again, I'm making NFL. Phil Simms, New York Giants. First 5 years of his career, he got hurt all the time. And everybody thought he was done back in the 80s. Parcells saw something in him. But years later, he changed his workout habits. And that made the difference how he lasted in the league. Because if he didn't do it, he wouldn't have a career. And he would have never won a Super Bowl with the Giants. Most people don't know that, but there are certain things you have to do in order to survive, in the league. And and the NFL, all those quarterback rules, they're all meant there to save the quarterback. And you don't go head first like Daniel Jones on every single running play.
Absolutely. That's funny. Sam, a little off topic. Are you a
Yep.
Giants fan?
Yeah.
You are? Oh, yeah. So we play each other this weekend. You're going down.
I hope so. But see, it doesn't really matter because to me, it's about the draft picks. It's about the draft picks right now.
Well, and the Giants have the Bears draft pick. So
Yes.
Either way, you win.
Yeah, I'm wondering if I should be rooting for a tie or not. Does that help?
Honestly, I actually think that would help the Giants. No doubt about it because the Justin
Yeah, because
Fields
the tie
trade,
is kind of a loss.
yeah,
for both
but it's
teams.
each team getting – yeah, exactly. I didn't even think about it that way.
Yeah, I'll have to look at I saw that on the schedule, Vinny, and I didn't want to mention it in case you may not come on to the Game Day Live podcast being spiteful that I am a Giants fan.
No, not at all. We both cheer for teams that need to get their acts together lately.
Yeah. So, but anyway, in closing of Game Day Live, we got a lot of comments. I just want to read a few before we go. Donnell Weaver says on the Facebook Live, Devils have to play a full 60 minutes against Oilers and keep McDavid and Draisaitl off the score sheet. Yes. We talked about that, Donnell, about my strategy is one guy. You only have one job to do. Stop McDavid. That's it. The rest, don't waste your energy on McDavid. He's going to do what he's going to do. That one guy's got it. And force him to go one-on-one and take his whole team out of it. You see that strategy? Just take his whole team out of it. Make him score 2 goals, but you got to make sure when he does that nobody else is scoring 2 goals as well. That's my strategy. Lindy Ruffin, Protocol A, Whistler, yes, he is. Also, a little fire boy back, Twin Peaks, New Jersey, can do some good to help those as well. Absolutely. You talk about the defenseman. Keep McDavid to the outside as much as possible. but also just make sure that he has nobody trailing and some help. Make him do it himself. Make him do it himself. And if he does, all right, well, you weren't going to stop him anyway. That's my strategy. Also, Facebook Live. Corbin says, poke check the hell out of them and gets them both frustrated. Those dirty tricks do work. And whoever's that one guy, you better do that.
Yep, it's true.
Just wear him down. Wear him down. Let's see. Joey Giardina, Happy New Year, LFGD, and all that. Yeah, well, this is our last podcast, Game Day Live, Vinny, 2021. We'll be back for 2022 next year. But yeah, so just want to tell everybody in the audience, we're going to have Devils After Dark after the game. Scotty and I will recap the game that was. Just a couple things, Game Day Live, and I'll reiterate that on Devils After Dark. Right now we're in the Primetime Radio Studios. I want everybody to have a safe and happy New Year's. It's a little scary what's going on, and just be careful. And we're doing that as well. So we're going to be doing it virtually, and probably by next week we're going to have monitors at Tars Lounge 973. So when you go there for a game, then you can watch us and listen to us, and maybe we'll go to you as well. Something new that we're trying to do, something new and fun. Also, this podcast, we want to thank all of you. The Let's Go Devils podcast, Game Day Live, Devils After Dark, State of the Fan Address, the Woo Report, all the podcasts, the Sunday edition. Yesterday, we hit milestones all over. You want to hear them, Vinny, before we go?
Oh, of course.
Want to hear them? Yeah. We hit 20,000 downloads in 1 month, in the month of December. It's growing. This podcast is growing like you wouldn't believe. Last year, we finished in 2020 with 54,000 downloads. In 2021, we're at 123,000 downloads for the entire year, and we still got a few more hours left. I haven't checked the viewership. The viewership is probably equally or more than our download numbers on our podcast pages. And we just want to thank you, the fans. You, the fans, our listeners, our viewers, everybody that participates. You guys drive us to do this. We're all Devils fans here. You're an extension of our podcast. We read out the comments as if it was 3-4 guys at a bar. Right now, we're going through this pandemic. It doesn't matter. The pandemic can't even stop us. As you see, okay, we'll just find a different way. But we're still Devils fans here. And I just want to thank everybody, including you, Vinny, and everybody on the staff, for putting this together. Because why? Because we're just Devils fans. That's it. Very
Absolutely.
simple.
I love to hear it. It's, great milestones, great numbers, and thank you to all the fans for tuning in all year long. It's been a blast to be a part of. I remember on draft night, I came on and talked about Luke Hughes for a little bit, and from that point on, we started doing the pre-games, and it's been a lot of fun. So I hope all the fans have a very happy New Year and that they stay safe and enjoy this game between the Devils and Oilers. And I'm really excited to get back at it in 2022. We'll kick it off on Sunday with a pregame show ahead of a game between the Devils and the Washington Capitals. So very excited for that and can't wait to see what more to come.
Yeah, and one other thing, because Corbin says, love this podcast. You guys do such a great job, a podcast for the people. Yes, and also for the people, I know people have asked me about this, about merch. There will be merch in 2022, but realize when you're dealing with two different countries, there are shipping issues, there are logistic issues. We're trying to figure that out, but we're going to make merch available for the podcast because the podcast has grown so much over the last 5 years. Next year will be actually, even though we're in season 5, next year would be actually our 5th year anniversary in September of 2022. So we're going to do something special merch. I've been experimenting. See my Let's Go Devils hat? See, I've been wearing it for the last 3 months. Not because I just want to be the only one that has the hat. I want to make sure that this is good quality stuff. Any of the merch that you buy from us, we're going to make sure it's the best stuff so you can show your Let's Go Devils podcast pride. And Vinny, I'm going to send you some free merch to test it out one day.
Absolutely. I'm going to need it to walk around the streets and show off the Let's Go Devils podcast. I need a couple things to wear for the show too, so should be good. My favorite color is green. Hint, hint. It's actually red, but I like green devil stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for watching, listening in. This is actually elongated Game Day Live, but that's okay. It's the last one of the year. Got to have to get all the stuff off my chest. Great customer service, Sam Wu. Thank you, Mike Rossi. Yeah, sometimes we're late shipping prizes to people. That's another story for another day. Anyway, enjoy the game, everybody. This is Game Day Live. Till next time, let's go Devils. Have a happy New Year.